G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here, and I'm going to have a bit of a rave, a rant about the YouTube doubters of the SunFoil, and I'm going to call you the spew tubers, right? Because what seems to go on is you silly buggers and half-wits look at one SunFoil video and you've sat on your ass in an armchair for, I don't know, maybe half an hour, and without doing any experimentation, you rack your friggin' brains for why you think I should be wrong. And what appears to go on is that you invoke all of your anti-confidence, trickster defences, reactionary, conservative reflexes, okay? And if I was at the local service station and I was trying to sell you a pill to dump into your fuel tank, and I was telling you the pill was going to give you 20% more distance for the petrol that you buy, or the diesel, or the LP gas, if that's what I was doing, then I would understand. That's a hillbilly word for understand. I would understand your suspiciousness and your defensiveness and your reactionariness, right? But I've explained on several videos in the SunFoil series that as far as I can see, there's nothing that I can patent, there's nothing I can register the design of, but it's a really good idea, all right? I've put a streamlined solar panel on my car, and I'm driving 15% faster, right? 105 kilometres an hour cruise on the highway, 75% of the time, instead of 90 kilometres an hour cruise. And why was I cruising at 90? I was cruising at 90 because when I tried to cruise at 100, I was bloody lucky to get 8 kilometres per litre. I am now cruising at 105 and I'm getting 10.298 kilometres to the litre, and that's measured over 1 year. 8,800 and something kilometres, right? What you call a long baseline study. Now, why I'm interested in long baseline studies and why conference report, Fred, why I'm not remotely fucking interested in putting a car on a dynamometer and jacking its asshole up in a laboratory, is because it doesn't fucking matter what happens in vitro. Life is not a fucking test tube. Life is reality. Life is in vivo. Life is what fucking happens in the real world. And what fucking happens in the real world, Fred, is that if you take monthly recordings, and if you only ever put petroleum fuel into your car when you think you can't drive home and back to town without putting fuel in your car, you get an empty tank top-up logbook. And that's what I've done. All right? I only put fuel in my tank when I think it's too empty to go home and then back to town. Right? There's very little possibility of fudging the figures there. It doesn't really matter if there's a, quote, 5 litre reserve in the tank, which doesn't show on your fuel gauge, because over a series of months, filling up every week when you're too scared to drive home, you wind up with a reliably accurate bottom of the tank reading, and, okay, so there's a couple of litres under that. But in the long term, over months, over a year, I think I've got very accurate figures. As for the fuel flow meter. When I talked to Dr. Sue Brown, the head of the Energy Division of the CSIRO, the Australian Commonwealth Scientific Industrial Research Organisation, to discuss with her the CSIRO's evaluation of the SunFoil project, which took them 7 fucking months. And she explained to me that they had to get a worker out of retirement to evaluate my project. And she said, we don't have the facilities. And I said to her on the phone, I said, so what this means is you've got no fuel flow meters and no method of recording it. And she said, yes, that's right. And I said, well, I know a bloke who's got 4 fuel flow meters, and they are certified by the New South Wales government to be accurate to 0.1%. And every time I buy fuel from that man, and he keeps his fuel flow meters bolted to the concrete in the front of the service station that he operates, I write down the figures. And the car has been certified by a different government department to be safe to drive on the road, and all of its instruments are certified to be accurate. So I use the odometer in the car, and I use the fuel flow meter in the petrol bowser. And that's how I know how much fuel I've used for how much distance I've travelled. And either I'm a complete fucking bullshit artist trying to annoy YouTube because it amuses my ego, or I'm telling the truth. Now, conference report, Htomerif TheBigGuvna, Gary at inmendham. Basically, it's a case of shit or get off the pot. Right? Fish or cut bait. You are wasting lifetime on planet fucking Earth. Either I'm right and you all sheeple are wasting 20% of your fuel burn, 25% of your fuel burn, in a never-ending, failing attempt to kiss and make up to your battery, or I'm a complete fucking half-wit. And if I'm a complete fucking half-wit, why is it that the local bowerbirds, the local white-winged chuffs, the local currawongs, the local swamp wallabies, and the local grey kangaroos eat out of my hand? Wild animals have a very good bullshit detector. If the wild animals that share the forest that I pay rates on to run as an endangered species sanctuary out of the nutter's pension I get for being so fucking disabled with narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial traits, a bad back and an ultralight foot, if the wild animals are prepared to come up and take food out of my hand, then maybe I'm not actually full of bullshit. And seeing as I'm not trying to charge you any money for this, maybe I'm giving you an idea that works. And maybe if you got half a fucking brain, you could be as smart as a swamp wallaby and start eating food out of my hand at 6 months rather than 18 fucking years, which is how long it took before the first kangaroo ate my bread. Right? And the kangaroos watched the swamp wallabies for 18 years. Now, if humans are as dumb as kangaroos, it's going to take 18 years before solar panels on cars become normal. Right? And my personal prediction is that the fuel is going to run out. Somebody's going to pull the plug. They're going to blow up the fucking oil well. Or for some other reason, the global trading village is going to fall on its ass before anybody decides to put SunFoils on their cars in any sort of significant numbers. It's because I am pushing shit up a hill because I share the planet with 7 billion fuckwits! Ciao.